Koholoim La Yahweh Bashim Yahushai Bahashim Rakah HaKodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of great millstone who rule well. And that by the Spirit taught us this beautiful truth and just want to say the water to all the H.I.M and Akwaf that's out here sincerely keeping the laws, the statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai to the best of their ability. Shachanan Nawaf just coming at you with another quick lesson, praying that it's edifying by the Spirit. And wanted to touch on the Passover real quick. The elder, well, I just watched the elder's video in New York. Matter of fact, let me see if I still got him up here. This is the elder right here. GMS Awakening 144. Right here, Salakia. And he has it entitled Keeping the Passover for the Newcomers and New Believers in the Faith. And I watched through that one. That's a good video to watch for, new believers, brothers and sisters coming into the faith. He posted a couple of Apostle Ramlah's videos. I think the Passover from 2 years back. But you can pull up GMS Passovers and you can get some videos or information on, what to do. But overall, just read through Exodus chapter 11, which I'm about to go through, up into a certain point of it, until, we get what's really popping as far as the Passover, what was being done, what was said to do. The instructions are there. Then also it's a Sabbath as well, so, but anyway, I wanted to show this quick video right here, this short. And I also Googled as well, basically Gentiles or Gentiles, speaking of the other nations, Gentiles, because there's two types of Gentiles in the scriptures. You have Gentiles that are Gentiles of the other nations, and then you have Hebrew Israelites that kept Gentile customs and, fell to the Gentile way. And so they were considered to be Gentiles to the circumcision Jews of the time. So that's another lesson, though, because the brothers have been going off into this as of late, with this one guy. It's an older video that popped up, I think the video may have been from about 6 or 7 years ago, possibly, but it's, someone posted it, reposted it, and this guy's talking about how, everybody can be saved. Those Gentiles are the heathen nations that enslaved the Israelites, and all of a sudden they can become a part of the promise that was given to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which is not true. And when you read through Exodus chapter 11, going into the Passover, you can clearly see just from that Passover alone that this is not for the other nations. This is only for the children of Israel. And that the Lord, which the world ignorantly calls Jesus, Yahweh Shai is his name, which means that he's the Savior or deliverer in the Paleo Hebrew. He only came for the children of Israel. That's it. That's it, man. I mean, it's the brother's been going through a lot of nice lessons on it. I actually saved, I saved one or two of them to my playlist. I like to always, save good lessons like that to my playlist. You should maybe come up with you a playlist as well when you see a good video. And it's something that you can refresh yourself on, over time, and you can go back into those videos and look at them, next year if you want to, or whatever the, time period may be, but, make up a playlist when it comes down to some of these lessons, especially when it comes to simple milk lessons, lessons on, going into the prophecies, just make a playlist. It don't take no time. All you got to do is just save it, create a playlist, and title it what you want. You know what I'm saying? And then you can go back into that playlist. You can shuffle it. You can play videos all day long just from what you want to hear. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I'm going to play this one to the right here with this guy right here, right? And let's just see what he has to say real quick.
How is Passover relevant to Christians? The simplest answer to this question.
So now basically, when he's saying Christians, he will be talking about so-called Chinese Christians, so-called Korean Christians, so-called Spanish, whoever. Anybody that's a Christian can now all of a sudden celebrate the Passover, which is not true. Only people that can celebrate the Passover is the Israelites, man. Because if that was the case, the Lord would have told the Egyptians to come on along and celebrate the Passover. Come on, bro. Anyway, Let's get it.
Is that God commanded his people to keep Passover and unleavened bread throughout their generations as a statute forever. Also, during the Last Supper before his crucifixion, Yeshua, Jesus, told.
Okay, so see, they're using that Yeshua in Jesus' name. That's not the Lord's name. His name is Yah-ha-wah-shai, which means that he's the Savior or deliverer in the Paleo Hebrew. There's no letter J, no letter E, no letter O, no letter U, no letter V in the Hebrew alphabet. It's not in there. The letter J was invented in 1524, 500 years ago. So we know his name is not Jesus. And since there's no E's or no U's in the Hebrew alphabet, we know his name couldn't possibly be Yeshua. It's Yah-ha-wah-shai, and the true name of the Father is Yahweh, which means that he exists, or the existing one. And the Father Yahweh he's sending his son Yahweh Shai for the children of Israel, all 12 tribes, and that's it. The rest of these nations are going to get slaughtered, and they're going to be enslaved, and it's not going to be a good look for them when the Lord comes, because they've treated the children of Israel like shit for hundreds of years. They still have us in captivity. And this is for you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You are the Israelites. Passover is for you. The people that came out of Egypt with Moses was you when the Passover went down. Not no so-called white people, not no so-called Chinese people, Japanese people, Cambodians, Filipinos. Now, mind you, though, don't get me wrong, our people have been scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. So some of our people are going to look like those nations, but they are actually Israelites because they come from the seed line of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You don't come from that seed line, you're not an Israelite. And if you're not an Israelite, hey, your future is bleak. I'll put it that way. So let's play the rest.
His disciples to, quote, do this in remembrance of me. Well, what were they doing when Yeshua said that to his disciples? If we look just a few verses earlier, we see that they were doing a Passover meal. Not only is Passover commanded by God and reiterated by Yeshua, but even the Apostle Paul tells Christians to observe this feast. So the simple answer is that God told us to observe Passover repeatedly, and then reiterated that command through the Messiah and the Apostle Paul.
Okay, so again, like I said, the way that he's speaking and what he's really talking about is because it's a subject of, can Christians, and when they say Christians, they mean what they think are Gentiles, which are the other nations, and they can't keep the Passover. The only people that can keep the Passover is the children of Israel, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, man. Haitians, Jamaicans, Dominicans, wherever we've been scattered to. We've been scattered to a lot of places. We're being called by different names, which are bywords, which the scripture talks about that as well. That's one of the curses, that we wouldn't actually be called Israelites. We would be called Negroes, blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, African Americans, Haitians, Jamaicans, Dominicans, Hondurans, Peruvians, all these different names. But we are the children of Israel. We come from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob's name was changed to what? Israel, or Yasha'Allah in the Hebrew tongue, which means, he's the prince of the power. So Israel, or Yasha'Allah, had 12 sons. Those 12 sons became nations. One nation, as far as Israel. But those 12 tribes, we, had so many children to the point that each one of those 12 tribes can be considered as a nation. But this is for the children of Israel, the entire nation as a bulk. So those are the only people that can get in on this covenant, or this on the Passover. And the old covenant and the new covenant is only for the children of Israel. And the Lord is only coming for the children of Israel to get us out of the hands of our enemies, according to Luke chapter 1, right? You can get that in Luke chapter 1. If you read through Luke chapter 1, it pretty much gives you an overall nice overview as why the Lord is coming and who he's coming for. He's coming to get us out of the hands of our enemies. See? And then when you go into, matter of fact, let me pull this real quick. We're going to go into Exodus 11 real quick and just, just kind of roll through it real fast and just get some basics out of it. But let's get Matthew 15 and 24 real quick. Because the Lord wasn't sitting around having his Last Supper with Pontius Pilate, man, or King Agrippa, or any of those Romans, man. He was with his men, which were Israelites. You see? Keeping the Passover, which the Israelites always kept. The Romans wasn't keeping no Passover, man. They wasn't allowed to. So let's just be real here, man. Matthew 15:24, it says, but he answered and said, this is red letter here, so we know this is Yahushua speaking, which the world ignorantly calls Jesus. I am not sent, but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. This is who the Lord came for. Straight up and down. That's it. But you got these Christians, they see the word Gentile and they lose their mind. And they don't go off into the context of that word Gentile. They don't go off into the context of words like stranger. Because there's two different types of Gentiles in the scriptures. And actually, I like the video that Elder Yashwama put up, the elder in Dallas. Because he goes through the actual etymology of the word Gentile. And they're clearly telling you that the word Gentile back in the days is not what the word they're using the word Gentile as today in the Christian church. They knew that when you said Gentiles in those particular scriptures, they knew that those Gentiles were Hebrew Israelites that had left, the faith, or, was living by other customs, living like the other nations, following those other nations' gods, so on and so forth, committing idolatry, fornication against Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. They understood that. So when the Lord came on the scene, he came on the scene to, put the circumcision, basically, and the uncircumcised together again as a nation. Because you had the Jews, which was called the Southern Kingdom. They were pretty much the circumcision. That's where Peter and them come from, That's why Peter was sent to the circumcision. And you got Paul, he was sent to the uncircumcised, so to speak. But those were Greek-speaking Jews, or Helleniste, or Hellenized Jews that were keeping Greek customs. So if you got to go into the history, or you're not going to understand. The reason why Christians really don't understand the Bible, because they don't know the history. That history is very important to understand context in the scriptures, man. So the Lord is only coming for the children of Israel. That's it. That's it, man. And all that stuff that these Christians are talking about is all being bust down to be false. And people are starting to see y'all been lying. Everybody's starting to see the Lord is not this white guy y'all been talking about. His name is not Jesus. He's not coming for everyone. Not one time are you going to see in the scriptures where the Lord was trying to explain to Pontius Pilate to repent. Not one time. Come on, bro. Let's run through Exodus real quick. Exodus chapter 11. I'm not going to get it all. It's entitled The Last Plague. Death for Egypt's Firstborn in the NLT over here. So I'm going to start from the top. I'm trying to think. Maybe I should read it in the NLT. I'm gonna just keep it. I'm just reading in the King James. It's not too hard to understand. It says, verse 1. And Yahweh said unto Moses, yet will I bring one plague more upon Pharaoh and upon Egypt. And this was the last plague, man. Hey, that last plague, the Lord got down. And this lets you know right here that the Lord don't love everybody. Because if the Bible was for everybody, the Lord could have easily sent Moses and Aaron into Egypt and tell Pharaoh, hey, look, I'm the Lord, thy God. I'm pulling all the people together on the earth. And, I've set you up as one of the kings, so to speak. And, hey, gather all your people. We're going to have a solemn assembly. And just the gospel was going to them. Or he could have made a covenant with them. Why didn't he make a covenant with the Egyptians along with the Israelites? This is a clear cut right here that the Lord is not dealing with all these nations like that. Okay, but it says, he shall surely thrust you out hence altogether. So this is talking about once this last plague go down, Pharaoh is going to make sure that you Israelites get the fuck up out of his land. Basically. It says, speak now in the ears of the people and let every man borrow of his neighbor and every woman of her neighbor jewels of silver and jewels of gold And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians. Moreover, the man Moses was very great in the land of Egypt, in the sight of Pharaoh, in the sight of Pharaoh's servants, and in the sight of the people. And Moses said, Thus saith the Lord, about midnight will I go out into the midst of Egypt. Check it out. And all the firstborn in the land of Egypt shall die. Uh-oh. Why? If the Lord loves everybody. That's an answer that I'd like to get from you Christians. If the Lord loved everybody, why is he doing this to Pharaoh and all the firstborn? Right? Why must all the firstborn die? Why is he going to kill these firstborn if he loves everybody? Right? It says, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sitteth upon his throne, even unto the firstborn of the maid servants that is behind the mill, and all the firstborn beasts. So he not only is he killing all the people's firstborn, but he's killing the firstborn of the beast. And ain't no telling how many people lived in that time, man. You know, or in Pharaoh's kingdom. Could have been millions of people. Millions and millions and millions of people. Millions of people could have died on this very one single night. And animals. Can you imagine, you know, the burials and them in their tombs and embalming, going through all these rituals that they go through with their gods, trying to get these people ready for funerals. Man, that had to have been a tragic fucking time. And this should let you know that the Lord is not dealing with all these nations like that, man. He's only dealing with the children of Israel. Because he done all this for the children of Israel. It says, and there shall be a great cry throughout all the land of Egypt, such as there was none like it, nor shall be like it anymore. So you can imagine every single household, because it goes on to say that. It says, but against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast, that ye may know how that the Lord do put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel. Oh, there's a difference? I thought all men were alike. Well, you got these Christians running around here, and then you had these people be talking about, oh, we're all one race, the human race. No, man, the Lord separated these nations, and he chose a nation out of them. According to Deuteronomy 7:6, he says that he chose the children of Israel above all people that are upon the face of the earth, that the children of Israel are his inheritance. Can't make it up, man. Verse 8, it says, and all these thy servants shall come down unto me, and bow down themselves unto me, saying, get thee out, and all the people that follow thee, and after that I will go out. And he went out from Pharaoh in a great anger. And the Lord said unto Moses, Pharaoh shall not hearken unto you, that my wonders may be multiplied in the land of Egypt. And Moses and Aaron did all these wonders before Pharaoh, and the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, so that he would not let the children of Israel go out of his land, right? Okay, so now let's get verse 12. This is the Passover lamb, right? And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. So we know that January 1st, New Year's of America, is not the New Year's. New Year's is coming in right about now with the Passover, because that's when the Lord was born, and that's when he also went out. New Year's comes in when things are blooming, not in the dead of winter when things are dead, man. There's no growth in January 1st. It's cold as shit where I live, you know. Okay, but it says, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, right? All of Israel, not no other nations, Israel, saying in the 10th day of the month, they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house. So you got to imagine how many lambs they had to have had on deck, because Israel had a lot of cattle, man. Because I'm trying to think, man, it had to have been, man, ain't no telling. They probably killed about 1 million lambs just for those households. Yeah, that was quite a, don't quote me on that, but it was a lot of people in Israel, man. Israel was deep. So it says, and if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto him his house take according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb. So, if a lamb was too big for you, you might have been just one person. 2 people in your household couldn't handle the whole lamb. You might have shared it with another, one of your neighbors or whatever, right? It says, your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out of from the sheep or from the goats. So you can actually eat goat for the lamb, for the Passover as well. That's, you know, a lot of people don't know that. But it's either lamb or goat. You can't, it's not beef or chicken, especially not no damn shrimp, crab, or lobster. Even though it has skin, fins and scales. And this is another reason why we know that, you know, you got these Israelites that's talking about, you know, keeping the laws, the statutes, and the commandments. This is actually a law right here, where we're supposed to take a male lamb without blemish. When we go to the supermarket, we don't know if it's a male or female, you know, that we're getting. Now, you might be, you know, some brothers may live in regions where they can actually go and get a whole lamb. Know that it's a boy or a male lamb, and know that it's, you know, without blemish. But to us, you know, that's scattered throughout the earth, that got to go to a damn supermarket and try and, you know, get something, or we may have a market somewhere, we're not going to know these things. So that's going to be pretty much, we're breaking that law. But you know what? We ask for mercy. This is where mercy, you ask Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh for mercy. And we're also practicing the righteous acts. Because we're not in our land to do what we're really supposed to do on no level. You know, until we get the law, statutes, and commandments written on our minds and hearts, according to the new covenant, then we're at the Lord's mercy, man. You know what I'm saying? We just have to ask for mercy and do the best that we can, right? Verse 6, it says, and ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month, and the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. So, of course, you know, we're not doing that. We don't have no land. We don't have anything right off. We're just a worm in Esau's lands right now, scattered. It says, and they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts and on the upper door posts of the houses, wherein they shall eat it. Right? So I've, you know, not necessarily done it like that to that extent, but I have taken some of, you know, dabbed, like, you know, like some paper towel or something like that into the lamb, so to speak, you know, or, you know, to drip off, you know, from the, you know, or, you know, just from the lamb in general. You know, you can kind of dab it. It'll have like a little, you know, blood substance on it, whatever. I've done that before, you know, just on some, you know, just parts of the righteous act, so to speak, and had put it over my door, smeared it on my doorpost or whatever at my house. I've done that before. I've done that, you know, every year that I've been doing it, you know, really. I mean, like I said again, the Lord knows your heart, man. He knows that you're being sincere, because you want to be sincere about this. He understands that we're in captivity, that we're not going to be able to do it like how we done it in our own lands, that we don't fully know how we were doing it like that back then as well. He understands that, man. Just do the best that you can. It says, and they shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire, right? And unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs, that they shall eat it. So you're roasting it with fire. You know, generally you can, you know, kind of, you know, sometimes I've thrown it into, you know, my toaster oven and broiled it real quick. You know what I'm saying? Let the flame off the top just go, you know, just hit it. And basically it's kind of roasting. I don't season it. I don't put you're not putting no damn lorries on there. You're not putting, you know, cutting up no onions on it and around it and all this other shit. This is not what you're doing. This is going to be plain, simple, because this was a quick meal. What you have to realize and place yourself in the mindset of where we were. We were on the run. We were moving in haste. We were moving fast. We was grabbing shit and breaking out. You know, when it's particular situation. That's why the unleavened bread comes into play. We didn't have time to let no bread leaven or rise. It was just plain flat bread, right? Everything was quick. So you roast the lamb or goat, which if I can get to a market and I can find some goat, I would try it this year. But lamb or goat, you roast it. When it comes to unleavened bread, if you don't know how to bake it, you know, generally, we would get a lot of brothers will get, you know, like the tortilla chips, like the straight 100% natural corn ones that don't have no nothing in it. They're just, like tortilla chips, you can, because they're unleavened, because like I said, again, we're practicing the righteous acts. And then when it comes to the bitter herb, brothers would get horseradish. Matter of fact, I just threw out some because I was in the house just now going through all the leaven that I got, so I got some rubber tubs. I don't have a whole lot of it this year. I kind of noticeable, kind of surprising. But, once you come into this truth, you kind of don't eat a lot of that stuff as much anyway. But, like those Rubbermaid Tupperware, Rubbermaid bucket, so to speak, with the snap tops. I generally just put my stuff off in one of those, put it in my garage, snap the top on it, and just leave it out there for that week, because you don't want to have no leaven in the house as well. And the scripture's going to go into that, right? So we got down to, okay, you eating lamb or goat roasted, right? You can, if you you can, there's recipes where you can bake some unleavened bread if you want to, or you can get those tortilla chips. You get the the horseradish. That's what we normally would use for the bitter herb. You can pretty much find it at any supermarket, Walmart especially, you know what I'm saying? If you can't find no lamb, well, of course, I've never seen no goat at Walmart, but I did see lamb the other day. Generally, they will have lamb. They generally will have it on stock because it is a time of the year when a lot of people are getting lamb, because they do know that this is a Passover season, so to speak. So, if it's, you don't have to get much. Like I said, again, we're just, there's a supermarket around the corner. Like last year, I just grabbed they had like a pack of I think it was 4 lamb chops in it. And I just got that, I just grabbed that, you know what I'm saying? And I roasted them. And I had my little tortilla chips with my bitter herbs, as far as the horseradish, and also the wine. We're going to get into that as well, wine, because that's going off into Yahweh Shai. And his last, when he, his last time he really drunk wine, in the Passover, just before he was, sacrificed for the children of Israel, or for us, you know what I'm saying? So, there's, keep it simple, man. You don't want to go all crazy with it, because it's going to go off into it, right? It says, eat not of it raw. We're not supposed to eat no raw meat anyway, nor sodden at all with water. So you're not supposed to boil it. Again, you're roasting it. You can broil it. You can put it in the toaster oven or in your oven, and you can actually broil it. It says broiling it, because lamb is kind of fatty. It'll drip off all that oil and all that other stuff as well. But it says, but roast with fire his head with its legs and with the purtenance thereof. And that means the internal organs. So, of course, again, we can't keep that law. We're not going to have no whole lamb. You can't just be out, you know what I'm saying, about in your yard, trying to roast no whole lamb, and your neighbor's looking at you when you live in an apartment building. You're going to get thrown out, man. Verse 10, it says, and ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning, and that which remaineth of it until the morning ye shall burn with fire. I've done that before. I got like a little small barbecue grill I'll kind of keep right at the back porch. Little lighter fluid. I'll kind of just, spray a little lighter fluid over it real quick. As a matter of fact, I try and keep a paper bag where I can put what's left in a paper bag, and I just drizzle that paper bag over with some lighter fluid. And then I put it in my barbecue grill, or on the bottom part where the coals go, really. And I throw a match to it, and it burn. I let it burn, and I go back inside, so to speak, and let it burn out. So it says, and thus shall ye eat it, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste. See that? It is the Lord's Passover. So you're supposed to have, basically, with the men of the Lord, we have our garment on, with a belt basically around it, so to speak, and with the shoes on, of course, and with our staff. If you don't have a staff, you can, I found great, sticks, so to speak, like walking, that's them fell out of trees, already just like the perfect staff. I done found a few of them that I have, and like I said, again, we're just practicing the righteous acts of it. And, my staff, I have on my garment, girdled up, and my shoes on, man. You know what I'm saying? And I stand there, I eat that shit real fast with haste, with the wine, little cup of wine, and you know, just go off into prayers and watch the brothers' lessons and videos, reading through the scriptures. You know what I'm saying? And hey, man, it's a solemn assembly, man. Right? Verse 12, it says, "For I will pass through the land of Egypt that this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord." So again, there you go. If the Lord loved everybody, why is he about to do this to these Egyptians? And that's coming to a theater near you here in these Americas soon, too. It says, "And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you." That's what that's really going into. You know, where you put the blood on your doorpost, so to speak. The angel will see that blood, you know, and pass over your house. You see? That's what Passover is going into. You're being passed over and not being knocked off and not being deleted or killed out here, man, by the Lord, man. Okay, so it says, "I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt." Right? Now, this is verse 14, is going off into the feast of unleavened bread. "And this day shall be unto you a memorial, and ye shall keep a feast to the Lord throughout your generations. Ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever." So this is the Lord speaking to the children of Israel, telling them that this is what they must do. No other nation can get involved with this. "7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. Even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses." That's what I was telling you. You got any rising agents in your house, any baking agents, anything, you know what I'm saying, as far as yeast in it, you got to load that stuff up, put it in some bags or something, or if you're not going to toss it, you know, like I said, again, I kind of grab like those Rubbermaid tubs, put my stuff in there, and I'm just going to pull it out to my garage, you know, but you got to get that stuff out of the house, right? It says, "For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the seventh day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel." And, you know, pray for mercy too. You know what I'm saying? Because Esau, he's so goddamn sneaky and slippery. He's got everything in foods now, you know, that you don't really know about, you know, because the scriptures talks about how we'll eat our bread defiled amongst the Gentiles. Verse 16, "And in the first day there shall be a holy convocation, and in the seventh day there shall be a holy convocation to you. No manner of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you." And, you know, this year just so happened, hey, it's landing perfectly on my end, you know what I'm saying, because I don't have to work. I'm off on weekends anyway, which is going to start on Saturday, sundown, this Saturday, sundown, 23rd, until next Saturday, sundown, the 30th, right? Okay, verse 17, it says, "And ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for in this self same day have I brought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall ye observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever." Again, this was only given to the children of Israel. And nowhere in the scriptures are you going to see that it's switched up and changed up, and all of a sudden the heathen are keeping the Passover with the Israelites, man. It says, "In the first month," verse 18, "in the first month of the 14th day of the month, at even, ye shall eat unleavened bread until the 21st day of the month at even." So 7 full days. 7 days shall ye be, 7 days shall there be no leaven found in your houses. For whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land. So now, when a person sees this word stranger, these Christians, they go crazy. They'll be like, "Oh, well, see, that's talking about everybody." Nope, that's not talking about everybody. That stranger that's being spoken of right here, that would be an Israelite from another part of the land, so to speak. Because this was something that you had 3 festivals or holidays, so to speak, where the children of Israel would come down to Jerusalem. That was a ordinance or a commandment from the Lord. So everybody didn't live in Jerusalem. Everybody didn't live, you know, in the Holy Land like right off. You know, they would be traveling. So that would make them a stranger to the actual inhabitants of Jerusalem. So it's like, say for instance, you drive from New York to Philadelphia. You're so-called black, you're so-called Negro, And then you get to Philadelphia and you see so-called blacks and so-called Negroes. Now, are they of the same family as you? Of course, they are the same ethnicity as you are. But have you ever seen them before? No, they strangers to you. You be walking past them, won't even say nothing to them. You might head nod unless you get into a conversation with them. But overall, you know that that's your people. They know that you're their people, but you don't know them personally. They're strangers to you, right? So don't get it twisted, because these Christians, they'll flip and try and stretch this and be like, oh, well, see, everybody can get it. Let me see how the NLT reads this. The New Living Translation reads, during those 7 days, there must be no trace of yeast in your homes. Anyone who eats anything made with yeast during this week, that goes into cakes, cookies, all that shit, man. Cupcakes. You know? It says, anyone who eats anything made with yeast during this week will be cut off from the community of Israel. These regulations apply both to the foreigners living among you and to native-born Israelites. See, so they should have put, they didn't, because see, they try and be slick with the wording with some of these translations. It should be basically an Israelite that's not living in the land right off and they're traveling to Jerusalem for the Passover, and the ones that actually do live there. There's laws that's going into stuff like that. So when these Christians, they'll see the word Gentile and they'll see the word stranger and they just lose their mind. They don't even go off into, what the actual word is saying. Let me see if they, let's go into this one in the Hebrew. Or they have it as a phrase. Gar, 8:16:16. Sojourner, see? So that's someone that would be traveling. An Israelite that would be traveling. A temporary inhabitant, a newcomer lacking inherited rights. See? This is talking about Israel. Of foreigners in Israel, though conceded rights. This is going off into, they're not in the land, but they still, they may not have the rights that the ones that live there do, but by law, they can go there and they can say, well, hey, I'm from this tribe, and then they will go to that tribe. And if they want to stay, they can get a plot of land amongst their tribesmen, so to speak. But this is clearly talking about children of Israel that live in other lands that's just coming through for the Passover. That's why when you go into the scripture where it talks about devout Jews from every nation, and then it names up all the nations where those Jews were from, it clearly shows you that it was Jews living amongst all the nations, and they was coming back home to celebrate the holiday, so to speak. See, so you got to get it, you got to be on point, man, when it comes to these words, man. The context of these words, and I'm only going to read just a little bit further on. I'm not going to get it all, but it says, "Ye shall eat nothing leavened. In all your habitations ye shall eat unleavened bread." Then Moses called for all the elders of Israel and said unto them, draw out and take you a lamb according to your families and kill the Passover. So, of course, again, we know we only talking about Israel here. And ye shall take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in the blood that's in the basin, and strike the lintel and the two side posts with the blood that is in the basin. And none of you shall go out at the door of his house until the morning. That's pretty key there, too. You at the crib, just chill. Memorial of Redemption is the title on this, verse 23. For Yahweh will pass through to smite the Egyptians. What does that word smite mean? Let's go into this word smite. Because you Christians talking about the Lord loves everybody. It's nagap, H5062. To strike, to smite, to strike, to smite, to be stricken, be smitten. Primitive root, to push, gore, defeat, stub, inflict a disease, beat, dash, hurt, plague, slay, smite, down, slay, strike, stumble, surely to put to the worst. So we know that this word really is going off into a slaying, a killing, because what did the Lord say he was going to do? He said he was going to kill the firstborn of the Egyptians and their beast. So, hey, clear cut that the Lord don't love everybody. For the Lord, verse 23 again, for the Lord will pass through to smite the Egyptians, And when he seeth the blood upon the lintel and on the side and on the two side posts, the Lord Yahweh will pass over the door and will not suffer the destroyer to come into your houses to smite you. That was the purpose for putting the blood over the door. That's what made the destroyer pass over your house. That's what Passover is going into. And ye shall observe this thing for an ordinance to thee and to thy sons forever. Who would the sons be? More Israelite children coming along. Then in the future, more Israelite children coming along. More Israelite children, generation to generation to generation. You're never gonna see in the scriptures where it was given to other nations to do this also. That they can get in on this. And that's Christianity, man. Christianity is a complete damn lie. White Jesus Christianity, I would say. Verse 25. And it shall come to pass, when ye be come to the land which the Lord Yahweh give you, according as he hath promised, that ye shall keep this service. And then once the Israelites went into this land, he knocked off a whole bunch of other people. Killed a whole bunch of other people for the children of Israel. So if the Lord loved everybody, why is he killing all these people for the children of Israel? Anyway, verse 26. And it shall come to pass, when your children shall say unto you, what mean ye by this service? So as generations go on, the children are going to be asking questions. Why are we doing this, Pops? Why are we doing this? Mom, why are we doing this? That ye shall say, it is the sacrifice of the Lord's Passover, who passed over the houses of the children of Israel in Egypt, when he smote, when he killed the Egyptians and delivered our houses. He didn't deliver the Egyptians, he delivered the Israelites. And the people bowed the head and worshiped. And the children of Israel went away and did as the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron, so did they. And that's pretty much the basics right there, man. Verse 29, and it came to pass that at midnight, the Lord smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne unto the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn cattle. So even the niggas that was in prison. Can you imagine that? Now, mind you, say for instance, because people lived a little longer back then, but let's just say there was a guy and he was maybe about 100 years old. He had his son when he was like 30. So his son is like 70 years old. The firstborn, even of old and young, was getting knocked off. Can you imagine that? Here's a guy, he's sitting around, he's 103. Because, like I said, people live to, 120, to, 100, the time. So just imagine that. This guy's 110, but he had a son when he was 20. So his son is 90 years old and he gets the business. And then his son's son, his grandson, his son's very first son, then his son's very first son. Come on, bro. The Lord is, man. That's why it says it's a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God, man. He's knocking off the firstborn of the animals. Can you imagine the death? It had to have been a stench, flies and shit, because you couldn't do all that burying at one time. Come on, bro. The Lord is cold, man. Verse 30, I'll end here. It says, and Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt, where there was not a house where there was not one dead. Golly, boy. Woo. And you know what? Let me see. Maybe they have I'm just going to put in how many people, because I'm sure somebody had to be to ask this question. How many people died? Yeah. See how we can word it. How many died in Egypt during the Passover? I just want to see if they got an estimate. Somebody got to know something. And they may not, but I know somebody got to be asked this shit before. Let's see what they got on Reddit. Nobody got nothing. But man, this had to been a lot of people, man. That would be a very interesting question because it depends on how many people lived at the time. But there was a lot of people, man. Let's see this one. That shit could have been in the millions. Why did... Oh, man. Nobody got no answers, though, here. I mean, we just had to, and me speaking as a man, using the imagination, there had to have been millions of people, probably. Especially animals. Egypt was flourishing back then, man. Anyway, I just wanted to touch on this. So, basically, hey. Oh, I forgot, though. Salakia. Let's go into Matthew. Chapter 26, where, Yahweh Shai. Let me see where to start. Start at verse 1, Matthew 26, verse 1. It says, "And it came to pass, when Yahweh Shai had finished all these things, he said unto his disciples, Ye know that after 2 days is the feast of the Passover, and the Son of Man is being betrayed to be crucified." Okay. Let me see here. Oh, they had the precious ointment. Oh, yeah, that was with the precious ointment and all. Then, of course, Judas, of course, he go ahead and say, "Hey, look, I'm going to betray him." Well, let's start at verse 17, the Last Supper. "Now the feast day, the first day of the feast of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Yahweh Shai, saying unto him, Where wilt thou that we prepare for thee to eat the Passover? And he said, Go into the city, such a man, and say unto him, The master said, My time is at hand. I will keep the Passover at thy house with my disciples. And the disciples did as Yahweh Shai had appointed them, and they made ready the Passover." Verse 20, entitled The Last Passover. "Now when the evening was come, he sat down with the 12. And as they did eat, he said, Verily I say unto you, that one of you shall betray me." Okay, that's going off into the betrayal part. Okay, I want to get to the point here, Salakia. Verse 26, "And as they were eating, Yahushua took bread and blessed and brake it and gave it to his disciples and said, Take, eat, this is my blood. And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, Drink ye all of it, for this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins. But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of the fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom." And that's where, wanted to just go off into the wine, basically, because that's basically what it was. And, hey, the Lord, hey, he said, matter of fact, in the NLT, it says, "And he took of a cup of wine and gave thanks for it, and gave thanks to Yahweh for it. He gave it to them and said, Each of you drink from it, for this is my blood, which confirms the covenant between Yahweh and his people. It is poured out as a sacrifice to forgive sins of many. Mark my words, I will not drink wine again until the day I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom." Can you imagine what kind of celebration that's going to be? And this is what we're working towards, man. We're working towards that crown, that reward. The Lord just, man, I can't even imagine what this is going to be like, man. Can you imagine? It's going to be like, man, just think on it. Because the Lord is never drinking wine again. But when he comes, he's going to drink with his fellows again, man. The servants, all the men that, you know what I'm saying, that are, of the elect, and you know, those that, you know, lasted, man, and endured, and, you know, it's gonna be a beautiful thing, man. So I wanted to just touch on this. So you get your, you know, some lamb, you roast it, your tortilla chips, or if you're gonna bake unleavened bread, they got recipes online, YouTube and all that stuff for stuff like that. If you want to do it that way, lamb, goat. You know, I do the tortilla chips, you know, type of dilly. You know what I'm saying? Horseradish shouldn't be hard to find for the bitter herbs. You put on your garment. You got your staff, you got your shoes on, and you eat it in haste, man, and drink the wine back. You know, throw that wine back real quick, and hey, you know, go off into some prayers, go off into reading over the scriptures. You know what I'm saying, as far as the Passover. But you know, like, you know, a lot of it's gonna be so many brothers that's gonna be doing Passover service, you know, lessons, and they're gonna be live where you can pretty much be right along with them. I generally do that every year, you know, too. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I just, hey, I tune into the apostles or the elders or one of the, and like I said, it's going to be so many brothers that's got lives going. You're going to be able to join in with somebody no matter where you are. You should be able to, you know. So, hey, I pray that it goes well for you. Get the leaven out of your house as well. And, you know, again, pray for mercy. You know what I'm saying? And take this thing seriously, man, because it's no joke, you know. Definitely not no joke. It's a lot of stuff that's about to happen, a lot of things that are coming into play, and we are definitely there, man. We pretty much out of here. You know, a lot of things are playing out. You know, a lot of things. We're living in very exciting times. So with that, I pray that the lesson was edifying. Kwam Yashala.